Hey folks, just forcing some coffee down my throat. How are we doing? Oh, there are people. Hello people. Right. Let's get the show on the road, shall we? I was going to bring my armigers out to show you, but no, they're in another room. So actually, give me a moment. I'll go get them.
Show us funky robots, lol.
Funky robots. They're not really robots, they're sort of mech suits, aren't they? Right, there we go. Oh. So, I've got a game coming up. Mid to late this month, I think. Frantically painting armigers. I think they're coming along quite nicely. Gonna do some more with the bases and give it a bit more of a sort of a metal or dust kind of feel to the bases. So they'll match my other knights. I think they're coming along quite well. Remarkably quick to paint as well. Going to give it a final pass for weathering once they're all sort of done. To a tabletop standard. Just get the Mortarian grime and all sorts of stuff in there and just go to town. Mortarian grime? Typhus corrosion, that's what I'm talking about. The technicals and maybe a little bit of that, you know. Usual stuff that I do. So there's the squad leader. That's quite good. And there's a second in command. Second squad member. Anyway, that's what I've been doing. The thing I might do is lose these two guns, swap them out for the Cognis stubbers, because these have a 60-inch range. I think it is something ridiculous like that. The armiger cannons. But these have a 12-inch range, so I might swap them out for the Cognis stubbers, which have a range of about 30, 36, something like that. These are more for your warglaives, those kind of ones, I think. So put them to one side. Show you some gobbos, because some of you are not on my Instagram account. Why aren't you on my Instagram account? You monsters. What's his face? Stink Mullet. Can't remember his name. Anyway, Cave Shaman. Quite proud of him. This thing is ridiculous. The Spore Squig gives him a 4-up shrug, I think. Yeah, 4-up shrug, and it's not a ward save. So it can't be countered by elves on kangaroos. But that's the sort of style I'll be going for with this guy, the Loonking. Which is spending a little bit more time than I normally would on one of these miniatures. Because yeah, I like the character in the goblin miniatures. I think they're really good. Grot miniatures. I think there's a lot more character in them, and I'm really enjoying painting them for some bizarre reason. I don't like greenskins generally, but these guys just got they're a lot of fun. Right, so let's get cracking. Some of you will have noticed right out the gate that this guy is purple. I'm trying a new thing. So this is a black undercoat, grey zenithal, and then I've gone from beneath with, well, I normally use a purple ink, but I didn't this time. I used Luxon purple, because purple shadows give a nice sort of, it gives a nice sort of, you'll see what I mean in a minute. They look good as shadows when you lay other things over the top. This is me shaking up another paint, which I'm going to put over there, because that's going to be goblin skin. But what we're going to do now is get our dry brush. No, we're going to get another dry brush, a bigger dry brush, and we're going to get all the basing material off the texture board. There we go, because we don't need basing material in our paint. And a little bit of white paint. Put that in a line there. Smaller, nothing small about this brush, smaller dry brush. Most that paint off. I'm just going to pick out, as we would if we're going for the quote-unquote slap chop method, which is, if you've been watching me for a while, I've been doing that for a while, long before it was called slap chop. But hey. I was doing it before it was cool. Well, that worked. I thought I'll glue a bit of sprue to the bottom of the king, or the king's bottom. Be able to use that as a sort of a painting handle, because I don't want to use, I've pre-sculpted a base for this guy, so I didn't want to use that whilst I'm painting the dude. And I didn't want to glue him to another base, so I'll glue him to a bit of sprue and use that as a bit of a handle, but didn't really get enough purchase on it. So I'm just using contact with the miniature on the downward stroke here, so it's just picking out some of the details in white, but it should be enough to get some nice highlights going on when we put the contrast on. We're not going to leave it just as contrast this time, we're going to apply a bit of extra highlights to push the contrast on the mini higher. Why they had to call their paints contrast, it makes it very confusing when you're talking about painting. Army painted dry brush? No. These are £5 pack of makeup brushes off Amazon. Don't use the expensive ones if I can help it. And I can always help it because I can always pick up a £5 pack of it off Amazon. But the artist opus ones are apparently quite good. I hear from a lot of sources, especially if you buy them through my affiliate link. They're really good if you do that. See, that's a really cheap way of doing it, Mick. Steal them off your daughter. Okay, so we've got some nice contrast going on there. Just gonna go across the ways a little bit on the robe because there's some nice detail I want to pick out there. Where's everyone else gone? We had Cadfile and all sorts of people. They've just vanished. There's a Jamie, so that's alright, we can start. It's a little bit of a dodgy join there. So a little bit circumspect with the old dry brushing, give it a bit of support. Right, let's get some other colours on there now. Right. Purple. What can we do with, oh well, we are going to fix that. One moment. Put the Ultimire extra thin out. If you're not using this to put your plastic miniatures together, honestly, what are you doing with your life? The best polystyrene cement, hands down. I'll leave that to cure. I'm not going near that for a little bit. But it'll be reet. Put some paint on the mini because that's what you're here to see. Well, that's not what Mick's here to see. Mick's here to have me burbling in the background whilst he's painting scenery. Mick could care less what I do in these videos, to be honest. Over there. Right. Have a look at the mini. What we're going to do, what colours we're going to put. Right, we need some yellows in places. What's the box art look like? Where is the box? There's the box. Let's have a look at the box art. See, there's not an awful lot of deviating from that, because that's kind of what night goblins look like, with the black robes and the yellows moons, and that's kind of their thing. Huh. Yeah. Let's get his skin in there anyway. For that. And this is why we've gone with the purple. There's not much actual skin showing. A little bit here and there. It's a little bit down there by his feet. Got an arm, bit of face, An ear or two. Another arm. It's about your lot. So this won't take long. And this is where we're going for the base. Straight in, over the purple with Tesseract Glow. Everyone's like, what? Trust me. So I'm going to pop that over there, a little bit out on the palette. If you're after an army painter product, this is all. Little army and medium, I think. There. Hashtag thin your paints. But not that much. Done goofed. Right, need to thicken it up a bit more. Bit more paint. So that's not coming out Tesseract Glow at all, is it? Yeah, now you see. Tesseract Glow gives you a nice sickly green. But over the purple takes it right down. So you only get that sickly green on the highlights, which is where you want it. And you end up with a really nutty looking goblin. Nutty looking skin, which is perfectly within their idiom. I use purple and purple and something. Not Fire Slayer Flesh. Oh, the paint's cool. Agaros Dunes, there we are. Purple, Agaros Dunes over purple for my orc skin, which comes out like that. You wouldn't have thought that was over purple, but that's what happens. So purple shading. It's the way forward. Could start a new craze. But I don't have the followers on YouTube for that. Maybe that's what I need to do. I'll put out a video with this technique. I call it something like Slap Chop but better. Death of Slap Chop? Is Slap Chop over? Is this better than Slap Chop on Games Workshop Mini? I've given up Slap Chop. For this one weird fact. Purple craze, purple craze. Nottingham Mum uses this one weird trick to paint miniatures. Slapchop users want to ban this method. Speed painters hate him. Exactly. Exactly. I mean, that's just grot skin. It's brilliant. Love it. Love it, love it, love it. Right. Now what we're going to do. Oh, no. Have to be showing a bit of leg. It's showing a bit of leg, so we're going to paint it. See, I don't like my green skins with stupid bright green skin. But when it's goblins and the rest of the miniature is going to be really dark, the bright skin really, you kind of need that to make it pop. The exception being, well, I mean, you can sort of see the effect on this to a lesser extent because the base is green as well. But you've got the dark armour and then you've got the bright green skin of the goblin, which is the same technique I've used there. Contrast. It's all about the contrast, folks. There we go, Wolf Corgi. Yeah, you can be my publicist, mate. Hi, hi. Right, let's get this mushroom painted in. This is Yandan yellow because it's what I picked up. Wasn't entirely what I was reaching for, but I've had a bit of a reorganise with my paints and nothing is where I expected to be. So this is looking an awful lot like Slapchop at the moment, but we are going to push it further. We're not going to leave it, although we totally could. So we'll be deepening the shadows and we'll be pushing the highlights and adding more and more contrast to the piece. So you end up with a, where did I put him? So you end up with a nice bright miniature like that. That's what I'm going for. Thank you, Murph. Welcome. Slapchop scandal? Mate. Right. Tell you what I am going to do. Those squigs. I'm going to reach for the correct yellow that I was going to use. And those squigs, I'm going to give them a nice coat of Imperial Fist, and everyone again is like, wait, what? This is going to be quite a little bit more slow burn than the then the goblin green, then the tesseract green glow goblin skin is, but you'll see why in a sec. Anyone who used to paint back in the 90s probably knows what I'm about to do, or why I'm doing this, because this was an established technique in the 90s. I don't know why people don't do it anymore. I suspect probably because paints have improved. Just the yellow contrast over that purple looks kind of cool. It's a weird brown colour. It's actually quite endearing. Be delicate with this one because that's where the join is, and that's still drying. Where's Immortan Joe? I bet he's doing something worthwhile, like working or something, isn't he? Right. Okay, that's that. I'm going to reach for the Shish purple, which is really dark. And that's the colour we're going to use for our underrobe. Underrobe and overrobe, I think. And then we will womble free a little bit. Underrobe, overrobe, wombling free. Just weirded out all the Americans. And what's he on about? What's a womble? A womble, guys, is a British institution. See what's going on his belt there. He's got some dangly stuff. Can't see what it is because I'm getting old. There, I said it. And that is part of the reason I've given up trying to paint like the Darren Lathams and Duncan Rhodes and the various people of this world. So I just can't see to do that now. Just can't. It will come to all of us. Yes, even you. They should. They should bring back the Wombles. In fact, they did. I think they revived them. They introduced some new characters. I don't think it. I think he can't. He can't have caught on. Yeah, I think one of the new Wombles was a Rastafarian, and Uncle Bulgaria was in a home, you know, that sort of thing. Just advance it. Right, so this is Shyish Purple. I don't use this often. Anything I've really used Shyish Purple for before now is bases for my Cursed City miniatures. Ghostbusters did? Huh? What? What are you talking about? No, they just introduced some new characters to it. It's not like they changed the cast so that they were all women or something equally horrific. I say ironically before I get nasty letters. I have absolutely no problem with what they did to Ghostbusters at all. I think they're both good films in their own right. In fact, I think that the backlash against that was absolutely hilarious. Some really insecure people out there. Yeah, Afterlife was good, and it wasn't just the surviving crew members. Yeah, I mean, there are. I think what they maybe should have done was come up with a moderately more different story. Because what they ended up doing, if I recall, I've seen the film once and not really ever again, is they followed the original story fairly closely. I don't think that was the best plan. which did, I suppose, kind of open it up to criticisms of being a gender-swapped Ghostbusters 1. Not that I think such criticism is particularly valid. I think they could have done a bit different story, perhaps. Okay. See, that reads as black, but it's got enough purple in there to keep things interesting. And I'll be highlighting it as well. See, I kind of wanted to give him a yellow hat to echo the crescent moon on his stick there. And I think I may yet do that, but it's clearly some sort of cowl he's got going on there. How do you link Discord and YouTube again? What? I don't know. What are you wanting to do, Mick? If it's not in the Discord settings, I'm afraid I don't know, mate. You might have to Google it. Right, I'm decision making at the moment, which requires an awful lot of painting going on. Decision making and deciding what I want to do. I think... Right, you see, because if I go for a yellow hat, that would encompass that here, which is the cowl. I don't know whether you can see. I think that's all part of the same thing. And the mantle, which comes around here, so that would need to be yellow as well. And I can't see a connection. I can't see anything that would suggest this part here isn't also part of this, which should turn it into a yellow robe, which wouldn't look right. So I think no, we'll just have that black. Or as it is, deep purple. Ba, 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 ba. What's going off there? I think it might be ribbons or bandages wrapped around his hat. Who knows with goblins? Who knows? Could be anything. Sometimes it's best not to know. Goblins. I don't know what a goblin is. Grot. It's a grot, not a goblin, because you can't copyright goblin. Purple to one side. And reach for the... Reach for the stars. Climb every mountain. No, not that. Don't ever do that. Grass, dunes, bush pine up, no. Painting the boots. Never paint the boots. Or maybe I'll put something else over the top of that, the orc skin there, because that's not quite come out the same. Mate, playlist in my head is no, you don't want to go there. I'm going to use Skeleton horde. For the underside of the mushroom. Which is important to leave room for. Must always make room for the mushrooms. And that's just revealed exactly how old a few people are. This is literally just laying down base colours. No, let's go with Gorgrunter. Let's go with Gorgrunter. That's a little bit of a... because the purple will bring it right down. The other thing the purple's doing is giving everything ever such a slight hint of purple about it, just tying everything together. The other way you can achieve the same sort of effect is adding, it's called the mother colour, and just add a little bit of a colour, no matter what colour, but it needs to be the same colour, to everything you put on a miniature, just a tiny bit. Just a tiny bit, and it will tie everything together into a theme. So a few spots of the mother colour in all the different colours you put on a miniature, and tie it all together. This is stick done before I go in with more shading and highlighting. Oh, there's another stick there. Let's have that in the same colour. BRB? No, you can't go. Come back. Oh, nerve of him. Can't leave. Oh, they legit could actually. Oh, thank you for reminding me. I'll do a thing. Mm. 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 Hmm. Never mind, it's already done. I thought I hadn't put chat replay on. Druky Violet. What I'm going to do with this is now the Tesseract glow's drying a little bit. It's a little bit bright. So we're just going to go into the recesses with a tiny bit of Druky Violet just to knock it back a bit. Glaze of that will just shade it back down to where we want it. I say we, there's only me here, where I want it. And you guys probably do as well. I know, you're supportive like that, I know. I know, I appreciate it. A little bit of Druky Violet there. A little bit of Druky Violet there. Under the cowl as well. Add a bit of shading there. And there. A little bit there as well. Be a little bit free with this because as we've got purple everywhere, it will, as I say, blend in between the fingers. Because we had that purple base coat, the Druky Violet shading looks a lot better. Ends up looking a lot better than something like Nuln Oil, because it references the colours already present on the model. So now I'm just going into all the recesses on the robes as well. Oh. Well, that's less than ideal. I'd ask if he's alright, but clearly not. I hope he will be alright. There we are. Right. And now we put the Gorgrunter fur back. Let's put that shade back. Reach for no, we don't. We get the Gorgrunter out again. I always miss a bit. Now we can proceed. The upshot of the yellow is you will usually end up with a much more vibrant red if you put it on top of yellow. I think that's kind of happened, but we're going for a deep yellow anyway because of the my intrinsic grimdark stylings. Deep yellow, deep red even. I know what I meant. I know what I meant. Thousands wouldn't, but I do. We're going to pick out the highlights on this in Wild Rider anyway, so it'll be all right. And there's the bit I missed on his tail. So I always miss a bit. How's the music for you guys? Is it alright? I can change it if you want. Can't even remember what I've got playing. I don't know whether it's the bluesy stuff or the electro swing or what. I think it's the bluesy stuff, if I recall. Which I play because it's kind of chill and ploddy, and well, I can't hear it because I don't stream with headphones on. So I think trying to paint with a pair of heavy cans on my head would be more than I could manage. Huh? What are you cheersing for now? What'd I do? I didn't do nothing. Can't prove a thing. What on earth is that? It's a dagger of some sort with mushrooms hanging off it. It looks like a pistol or something for some reason. The rubbing off had occurred. How's my skin looking now? Skin looking all right, I think. But we might want to elevate it a bit. Before we start mucking around with that, let's make sure we've got all our colours down, and we haven't at the moment. We need some Gardex Sewer, which is somewhere. There it is. Which is a brilliant colour for all of your grungy metal needs. So this will go on his crown. I like this crown, it's very cool. what I am doing here, and that I didn't really do on the other goblin miniature, is I'm using contrast paints. The other goblin miniature is, I was trying to prove something to myself. Contrast paints are a fantastic tool, but I think I was starting to rely on them a bit too much and losing a lot of the actual useful techniques involved in painting. Yeah, they're a wonderful tool, but I think if I was teaching someone to paint from scratch, I wouldn't give them contrast paints. They allow you to produce some good results fairly easily, so one might assume they're a natural beginner's paint, but you miss out on an awful lot of learning out how to shade and how to highlight and colour theory to an extent. And all the skills that as an experienced painter you tend to forget you've even got. I'm sure I said it somewhere that the multi-stage Games Workshop method with using standard paints will teach you how to paint. Something like slap chop and contrast will teach you how to dry brush. It's best to learn the skill itself before you start cutting corners. If you know what I mean, and if that didn't come across as horrendously conceited, because that wasn't how it was intended, it's just a fact. Crawl before you can walk. Oh, I agree, Mick. It's a good method. Produces good, reasonable results. It's as old as the hills. Certainly a lot older than its namesake. Because I'm sure, in fact, I know I've said on this live stream before, it's a medieval technique, or based on a medieval technique. So whoever decided to call it slap chop can't really claim any kind of provenance for the technique. Grayscale underpainting has been a thing for years. Although not usually applied to miniatures. That is kind of new. At least I wasn't aware. Yes, for real they did. I wasn't aware of it taking place back in the early days in the 80s and 90s. I mean, people did used to paint with inks, and I would imagine that would lend itself quite well to underpainting. But I wasn't conscious of them using underpainting techniques with the inks. Maybe they did, I don't know. Right. Oh, missed a bit. Grisaille, yeah. See Merce paying attention. Okay. Don't know what's going on the end of his stick. What is that? Is that a crab or something? I don't know. Fingers? Could be fingers. Right. Okay, we're going to chuck in a little bit of lighter colour now. And we're going to reach for the pallid witch flesh. Actually, no, let's not reach for the pallid witch flesh. Let's reach for Rakarth flesh. Give that a good shake. Excuse me. Where's all my little where's all my little brushes gone? Long time passing. Right, there we are. Because that's already a mushroom sort of colour. Which is what we want for mushrooms. Allow me a medium to thin that down a bit. And we're going hunting mushrooms. Or more correctly, the stalks for the mushrooms. We're going to apply a little bit of this just to make them pop a little bit. He says, we're just going after the stalks, and then proceeds to paint the caps as well. You should know by now, don't listen to what I say. I don't know what I'm doing. In fact, why are you watching? I don't know what I'm doing. Surely you can find someone that can actually paint. I'm not going to leave them this colour, I'm just picking them out so that I can see them. If anyone's wondering how I can see to paint in my advancing years, I wear a pair of 2.0 cheap reading glasses over my regular varifocals. I say this because the temptation, when you realise that your eyes aren't quite up to it anymore, is to pick up one of those ridiculous visor things with about 8 different lenses and a light on it and a headband and space for cans and a sippy straw thing. And you don't need one of them. You don't. Little plastic pair of reading glasses is a lot more comfortable for prolonged periods of painting. And with a 2.0, I think that you can get them up to like 3.0, 4.0. You can get them quite thick. A 2.0 pair of them will give you all the vision you need to do most detail. An Element doesn't sell them, unfortunately. I get mine from Amazon. If Element did sell them, I put a link in the description. But Element don't. Element's missing a trick. But then Element's owned by Artis Opus, who is not in advancing years, and he don't know, man. He's not there yet. But it does come for us all. Ain't nobody gets out of this alive. I say it will fail, as will hearing. Pardon? And if you want to keep painting into your... Well, I started needing glasses from about 40. That's when I got my pair of getting old glasses. And if you want to keep painting past about that, you want to start thinking about getting yourself some reading glasses. Rather than squinting and screwing your eyes up. The other thing I will say about getting old and painting is light becomes increasingly more important. There are those times when your parents are, you'd be sat reading a book and your parents are coming in and turn the light on and say, you can't read in this darkness, you'll ruin your eyes. When you were thinking, well actually I can read in that, that was fine. Well, as your eyes get older, you stop being able to read in lower light. So whilst you were perfectly able to read in that light and it wasn't a struggle at all, your parents probably couldn't. So the other thing you need to consider is a decent light. I have a few on my desk. Got an angle poise one. I've got one of these ridiculous things, which I only use as a light, even though it's got a magnifying glass on it. Because these seem like a really, really good idea, but they're not. They are so hard to paint through. You can get up ridiculously close for doing I'll show you. I mean, you can get up ridiculously close for doing some fine detail, but actually looking through them is kind of a struggle. So I'll get that out of the way. That's one of my lights. A standard desk light. I have a studio light, which isn't actually on at the moment. Now it is. It's made bugger all difference to you. And I've also got a sad lamp on the wall. So it's quite bright in here. But you need that. Oh, actually, that's made things look a lot better on the screen. Maybe I should have done that earlier. But the light's coming from a variety of directions, so you don't get an awful lot of shadow on the miniature, which is useful. Let's see what you're doing. Right, what I'm going to do now, so I'm just going to up the highlights on the goblin's skin a bit. So I put a bit of tesseract green there, and a tiny spot of witch flesh, maybe a tiny spot more. Just mix it in with that. Give you some opaque, pale green. Still got some Lamia medium on there from the Rakarth flesh. I'm just going to hit up the raised areas of the skin. Just to push that contrast. On his nose. Side of his nose. Other side of his nose, over his nostril. Tops of his ears. And we're going to get in there and try and get to his brow. So this is where an extreme magnifier would actually be quite useful. A little bit of water mixed in with that. And we're just going to throw a little one on the top lip there, just a spot, just to suggest details. His cheek there as well. And his lower lip. And on the other side as well. Because there's so much contrast there, you just need to spot it on really carefully. Just tiny little spots here and there. Give it a dot down there to suggest that he's actually got a bit of skin there. And there's an upward facing surface just there. Just get a bit more on the knuckles. On his other arm there, you can see his it's not the tibia and fibula on the arm, is it? It's the humerus, radius and ulna. Forearm, radius and ulna, I think. It's been a long time. Two bones there, one there, two, and you can just about see where I've picked that out. How are my paintbrushes? Oh, these are Amazon special, yeah. these are synthetic. I have got some sable somewhere, but I don't use them because I save them for special occasions which never occur. Yeah, this is a... I can't remember how many was in this set. There's quite a few of them. Maybe 10 or 12 brushes for about a tenner, in a range of sizes. From what's the biggest one? Biggest one I think is a 7 down to a 5.0, and they're okay. They'll go eventually, but I won't cry buckets for the amount of paid for them. I'll just get some more. There we go. Now you could, at this point, go in and deepen the shadows a bit more, but I don't think we need to. I think that face looks pretty spot on, actually. Pull the light down a bit more so you can see what's going on. I like that. It's cool. What I might do is throw a bit of Berserker Bloodshade into the mix. 27 quid? Oh. Yeah, I think they were about 10 or 15 when I got them. But I mean, they're still worth it for 27, to be honest. These are some of the better ones, better cheap ones I picked up. Not cheapy cheap, they're not cheapy cheap now. Pro art ones. Da Vinci! Ooh, la-di-da. Are they sable or are they synthetic? I mean, there's some lovely brushes out there. My fancy ones are Winsor & Newton Scepters. And that's really nice. That, you can get an awful lot of paint in that. Just paint for hours. I'll sort of dry brush out 1 second. Dry brush, which is a makeup brush. Bit of pallid witch flesh on that. Bit of a pallid witch flesh no longer on that. I'm just going to go over that moon. Coming up with a nice sort of organic colour there, and quite liking that. Very shroomy. Yes, you are absolutely correct. Do not bring contrast paints anywhere near sable brushes. Always, always, always use synthetics for contrast paints and inks, by the way. So shades like that. No, not for your best Galinsky sable. They will get all up into the ferrule, and you'll end up with bristles everywhere, and it's just, oh, you don't need that. Synthetics don't wick the paint up quite as much though, so they won't suck it all up into the ferrule. Probably, mate. Probably. I mean, you want, wherever possible, to keep your ferrules free of paint and keep the paint well away from your ferrules. I do not practice what I preach half the time. But in an ideal world, that's what you'd do. You know what I'm going to do now? I'm going to get a little bit of this pallid wedge flesh. And I'm going to get a tiny bit of probably not that. Probably not that. Yeah, let's go with Shyish purple. Mix that in there so we get a lighter shade of greyish purple. And we are going to start hitting up some of the highlights on the robe. Super light over that. So dry brushing is one of those techniques that I learnt fairly early on in my painting career. And it's one of those techniques that really does, right from the outset, just elevate a miniature if you get it right. It just makes highlighting so much easier. Gotta say, I've had a few Games Workshop brushes over the years. I've not been a massive fan of them. For no reason I can really define. I suppose it could be just generic anti-Games Workshop, but I don't think so. It's always been something that they've either been poorly constructed and they've just fallen apart, or let's see. Let's fish out some Games Workshop brushes. See, that's a Games Workshop brush. That's it's just useless, and that's after a couple of weeks. That's a layer brush, I think. It's not even a dry brush. That's one of their dry brushes, which I've not been keeping clean. It's not too bad, but it's a bit. The bristles are a bit stiff for a dry brush, really. In fact, if you want a good workhorse, you can't go far wrong with these, actually. It's just a Army Painter regiment brush. They hold a point fairly well. I think they're synthetic. I've certainly not had any problems using contrast paints with them, and they just keep on plugging. And that's about a 2, I think, equivalent of a 2. What's that? Maybe a 1. Yeah, it's a 1. Good little brushes, and I like the kind of triangular handle on them as well. They're quite easy to use. Let's get a bit more of that shade purple. Tiny bit of that. Yeah, I think that might be a part of the issue, actually, Murph. Right. It's a bit more contrast built onto that now. Again, with that little hint of purple, you get that little note of whimsy about it all, which is always fun. What am I doing? What am I doing? I don't want to be doing that. Right, I need to be. Gosh, time flies when you're having fun. Look at that. Quarter of an hour to go. Where is my... what's that? That's Evil Sun Scarlet. That's not what I need. Actually. Yeah. Yeah. Let's have a bit of Evil Sun Scarlet, and then we'll take it up to Wild Riders. And we're just gonna... I suppose what I'm doing here is a little bit of a halfway house between Citadel's base layer shade approach and what's become known as Slapchop. What's going on with these dudes? Have they got arms? I don't think they have. So what's that? Don't know. just paint it. That's really thick for a layer paint, really thick. Really, really thick. Wow. A bit of water in there. What I'm going to use that for? I'm going to use that for a bit of dry brushing. I think that might work quite well. Yeah, Jamie, I think that happens a lot. Little Timmy picks them up and chews them, and yeah, it's just not good. Getting a little bit of contrast, a bit more contrast onto these guys. That's the Evil Sun's red. And we are going to reach now for the, where is it? Is it still in the box? It's still in the box. Droth flame. Okay. We don't need magma droth flame. Wild Rider red. Hey! Wild Rider red is a perfect step up for the sort of, I mean, to look at it, you wouldn't want to put that anywhere near red. But it's a really nice colour. Spot highlights here and there. Just to pick out the details. The ridges on the top of the squig's head. Because of the way it's formulated, it blends in really well as well, which is exactly what you want from this sort of paint. You do this sort of thing with. Don't put too much on, you just want to pick out the details, which is what I was trying to do with the Evil Suns, but Evil Suns is a little bit too heavy. Just making things pop a little bit more. I do like this colour. for doing precisely this. These are silly little looking little creatures. They're brilliant. Love them. Who's making a gloom spite army? Was it you, Murph? Little white defect on the edge of the what? Oh. Better. Tala, again a bit Singapore there. Singapore, Malaysia. It's very Singapore type, Malaysia type thing. Dude, I mean, you've seen, it's just contrasts. That's all it is. I mean, I'm pushing it a little bit more than I normally do, but... Scouse. Surprised I understood it. I'm gonna have to keep picking away at those squigs, just to keep bringing the contrast up and up and up, so that they look good from a distance. Just going to chuck a bit more of this on the edge of the mushrooms. make them pop a little bit. OBS lost connection. Are we still broadcasting? Can you still see me and hear me and stuff? Yes? Well, it seems so. Should be wrapping up. Oh, okay. It's back on, so it went, did it? Okay. Don't know why. There was a bit of an update earlier on today for OBS, so it might be connected to that. And it was also a bit of a wobble trying to connect to YouTube. So they might be having problems. Right, I think I'm going to leave that little dude there for the time being, because it's getting on a bit and I've got to be up for work early in the AM. Yeah, you're not wrong there, Murph, because what we didn't use in the 90s was makeup brushes. 80s and 90s, because if a lad went into a shop to get some makeup brushes, they got funny looks back then. Now, yeah. Come a long way. But yeah, I certainly didn't use makeup brushes back in the day. I just used a dead brush, and that's not quite the same. Yeah, I'm liking how that's coming out. There's a lot of contrast there. He's going to look suitably grimdark, because there's lots of deep shadows, lots of bright highlights, which is characteristic. I think we're getting there. So next week I'm going to continue with him and get him complete and situated on his base. So yeah, I think two-parter for this one. Yeah. Okay, okay. Right. I should do my goodbyes. And thank once again Mick for the tip and everything like that. Like and subscribe and do all that good stuff. Guys are fantastic. We will meet again, same bat time, same bat channel next week, hopefully, barring any unforeseen circumstances, which shouldn't happen, but that's why they're unforeseen. Yeah, definitely. Whew, right. Ta-ta for now.